So the game has changed. A lot of uncertainty in the market for real estate agents post-NAR settlement. What should you be saying? What should you be doing? And how do you win in this new environment? Today I'm going to share with you exactly the steps you should be taking right now. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. There are a lot of opinions of what this is going to look at, because where we are when I'm recording this is that we are in the point where we have had an agreement on the settlement, but it still hasn't been approved by the court. So a lot of things have to happen between now and the time when this is approved to see exactly what it's going to look like. So what today I want to do is I want to go through in this time of uncertainty and talk about the things that we absolutely know or the things that we anticipate that will be happening and how you can answer these questions to the general public so that you position yourself to win in this new market environment. Let me start off by saying that a lot of times when we have a frenzy, which is kind of where we are right now in the media and the attention in the vocal minority in a lot of cases that are out there, is that we have this environment where, because we're in this, we anticipate that it's being talked about or thought about a lot more than maybe it even actually is. So what I want to encourage you is that now is the time that in the frenzy to be the calming force. Now is the time for you to get a plan of action so that not if, but when we get some clarity here, you're ready to take off and you're actually running through the tape instead of coming out of the blocks, so to speak, when we start this race. So I'm going to go through and break down in just exactly a couple of the main questions that we're having right now, at least what we're hearing right now. Number one is that we've had a number of sellers that say something along the lines of, so now that this settlement has happened, I don't have to pay a buyer's agent anymore. And I want to give you the language that we're utilizing. And I want you to think about it from a standpoint, because every market is different. How would you answer this question? These are questions that are out there right now. And again, our job is to give those sellers, in a lot of cases, or buyers, the best information possible so that they can make the best decision for them. So this is kind of what this looks like. When that happens, typically what we are encouraging people to do, and I don't like the word script, because a lot of times if something is scripted, you can tell. I want to have a foundation, basically almost bumper rails, where I'm going to stay in this area, but I'm going to speak differently to somebody that is analytical. I'm going to speak differently to somebody that is emotional. Understand who you're talking with and how to adjust what you're saying in a way that they can hear it in the way they want to receive it the best way. So let's talk about this. This would be a typical situation. Somebody says, well, I guess now we don't have to pay the buyer side commission when we list our home. This is how we answer that. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and as you know, sometimes things can get really hyper sensitive out in the media, and things can be kind of blown up a little bit. You've always had the ability to negotiate your commission, but what I want to do is give you some understanding of why it makes sense, possibly, for you to offer buyer's commission. What the rule basically said, just to give you some clarity, is number one is that coming in the future, if everything this proposed settlement is taken care of, right now it's the same as it always has been, you cannot put, or we cannot put, a offer of compensation for a buyer's agent in the MLS. It doesn't state that you can't offer compensation. It just simply says that we can't put it in the MLS. Now, there are some agents that are already doing this in MLS now since this has been proposed, but let me tell you the advantages and disadvantages of doing that. A lot of times we can trip over dollars on our way to try to pick up some pennies. So let me just kind of give you the pros and cons of this. The pro is obviously if you didn't offer the compensation and we find a buyer, then you're going to get a reduced amount as far as the commission, the cost that you pay to sell your home. Now, here is the con of doing that is my job is to get as many people through the house as possible, as quickly as possible, to find that right person or people that are interested in your home that will pay a premium for your home based on the fact that they found your home and they love your home. Now, here's the difference is, in a market where there is tight inventory, where there's nothing else available, maybe we can do that. We're in an environment where in most markets where we're seeing, and in our market, we're almost 400% more inventory, which is a little bit different than a lot of places, but we're in a position where we have more competition than we've had in a number of years. So think of it this way. If you're out there and you're an agent and you see that there are 4 homes for sale in the same neighborhood, one is offering no compensation, 3 are offering compensation, let's just be real. Odds are that people are going to show, or they're going to get the information out to more people where there's compensation for them. People are going to work for nothing. So from that standpoint, we want to market the home to both buyers as well as the people who are kind of the gatekeepers for the buyers, which are the agents. So what we want to do is we want to position ourselves. A lot of times what we do is we want to make sure that we're looking at the bottom line dollar that you're going to net out when you purchase this home. We can negotiate always in every transaction, but what is it that we can do to position your home to have the most people come through the house so that we can then negotiate a price with the closing costs that you have that ends up getting you to the bottom line you want? Again, we can do either way. It's your option. But basically what I want you to understand is how do we position your home to maximize the price, not just the sales price, but your bottom line price. And the more people we have that want to sell your home, the better opportunity we have to maximize that price and your bottom line. Again, you want to reiterate to these sellers that, hey, you've always had the option. You could go for sell by owner and not pay any commission if that's what you want to do. There's been historically about 10%, and just think of it this way. There's been about 10% of the market that has typically been listed for sale by owner. A lot of those end up listing with an agent because they realize they can't do it on their own. But there's been a portion of the market on the seller side that has always not offered compensation. Now we're at a point where a lot of buyers may say, well, maybe I will save by doing this myself. Is that something that people absolutely will hear? Of course they will. You'll always have a certain portion of the population that wants to go at it their own. That's why the do-it-yourself industry is always something that always has been out there and is thriving. You will have that on the buyer side as well as the seller side. We've always had it. The key right now is to find those people. And when I was talking with David Childers from Keeping Current Matters, he utilized a Bright MLS study that said that almost 90% of people said that it is extremely valuable to have an agent that you're working with to help you navigate through the buying process. Understand, a vast majority of people out there are always going to want to work with an agent. Will there be a portion that doesn't want to? Always there will be. Our job is to find those folks that do understand the value we bring, and for us to be able to communicate that value in a way that they absolutely know they need us to help them walk through this transaction, the largest financial transaction in most of their lives. Be the professional in these situations. So that's the seller side. Now let me shift from that seller side to either the buyer side or just the general public side. We've had some of our agents come to us and say that they've had people come to them and say, well, now with this NAR settlement and now no commission being paid on the buyer side, are you nervous about your business? Again, a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of things, and what our job is to do is to bring clarity, transparency to exactly what's going on. So let me give you a couple talking points. Again, you need to modify this to your voice and how you would answer these things, but I want to just kind of tell you how this has gone with some of the situations that we've been in. Again, understand who you're talking to as well, because someone who's emotional, you're going to speak more in an emotional tone. Someone who is a little more analytical, you're going to speak more in an analytical tone, but this is the general conversation. First off, don't fight against it. Change is inevitable. There will always be change. What you want to do is you want to be the person. I always like to start conversations is, let me tell you what I like about this, okay? Because then if you've taken and you've dropped the defensiveness down, and all of a sudden people begin to say, oh, well, there's something that's a little common sense here. The people who immediately say, this is ridiculous, I can't believe they're doing this to our industry, you're not going to win. You're not going to win that battle. What you've done is you've played right into the angry entitlement that the media is trying to portray us as, which is not what I have seen and what I've witnessed with the vast majority of the agents that are out there. So when that question comes, this is kind of the way that I say this. Hey, I know I'm not sure what you've seen, but what is it that you've heard? First off, ask the question, what is it that you've heard? Get some clarity, because a lot of times I think we start answering questions that they haven't even asked. Ask them what they've heard. That gives you the ability to understand better where they're coming from. This is both on the seller and the buyer side, but on this side where it's the general public. So tell me what your understanding of this is, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And then listen, answer the questions they have. A lot of times they'll come back with certain things. That's when I like to say, well, let me just tell you, there is a lot of misinformation out there, and we really don't know yet. This is a proposed settlement that has been agreed upon by the attorneys as well as the attorneys on the National Association of Realtors side. But until it's accepted by the courts, until it is actually enacted, we don't know exactly what this is going to look like. So let me give you some things that we do know and some things that I really like about this. Number one is I absolutely love more transparency. This is a thing that has been the question mark. And this is why in my real estate career, I have always tried to over-communicate. Because if you go and you Google right now, what's the biggest complaint about real estate agents? It's that they don't communicate enough, that they leave people in the dark, so to speak. What this change will do is it will bring more transparency, which I'm all for. The second thing that I like about this is that this is going to absolutely give us the opportunity as professional agents like I am to show our value in a way and to be able to communicate our value in a way that people understand everything we do to help them have a smooth transaction, to negotiate a price that's to their benefit, and to give them a value in the largest financial transaction they have. So from that standpoint, I love more transparency, and I love the fact that it's going to be a little bit of a separation of the wheat and chaff, so to speak, where the professional agent is absolutely going to stand out from that maybe not so professional agent that is out there. Those are the things that I love about it. Now let me give you some clarity on exactly what this looks like. Again, this is something that we've got a proposal here, but the things that are the main points of this that we kind of feel that these are probably going to happen is, number one is, they will no longer be able, a seller or a seller's agent will no longer be able to offer commission and post it on the MLS. In other words, they can't say if they're offering commission. It doesn't say they can't pay a commission. What it says is that they can't put it in the MLS. Now, let's be real. Professionals are not going to work for $0. Will there be a portion of the population that wants to do it themselves? Absolutely. They will have that option now. But one of the things that we're seeing is that most people are going to put themselves at a competitive disadvantage if they don't offer a commission to those buyers' agents. Now, will there be people that will offer $0 on the buyer side? Absolutely. Will there be people that will offer commission, just as we've seen at different times in different types of market cycles? Will there be bonuses to attract the attention to their home, to set it apart from others for agents to make that maybe catch their attention more and maybe get them encouraged to sell it a little more? Absolutely. There always has been. I think it would be naive to think that positioning a home to sell in a way that attracts more agents that really are the gatekeepers for a lot of the buyers that are out there would not make sense. So going forward, number one is you just simply can't offer of commission in the MLS. You can still pay buyer's agents as a seller. It just can't be published on the MLS. Again, once we get the settlement, we're going to know more about that, but that's something we anticipate is absolutely going to happen. The second thing that we're seeing with this that we feel is pretty confident is that now before seeing a home, the way the proposal is there and the settlement is there now, you would have to, as a buyer, sign a buyer agreement, basically a buyer's agent agreement that ties you to that agent in order to be able to see a home that you're looking at to potentially buy. Now, a couple of things here. This has always been done on the seller side. It's called a listing agreement. Now we're talking about a buyer's agreement. And in a lot of places around the country, this has been done for years. It's been done, I know, in Georgia. It's been done in a number of states. In Florida, we've never really done that. Certain parts of the market, but we haven't. So this will be new for us. Will this look like it looks right now? I doubt it. There's probably going to be some additional language. There's going to be some things. But in order for a buyer to be able to go see a home, they're going to have some type of listing buyer's agreement signed. Again, how does that work out? I'm not sure. It's not where we are right now. It's something that's coming in the future. And as we get more clarity, we'll be able to understand that better. Those are the two main points. Here's the bottom line. Number one is, as I told you, I love the more transparency. I love the opportunity for us to be able to show what we do as professionals and set ourselves apart from the average agents. And I love the fact that now we're going to have an agreement that's going to give us the ability to know that I'm going to give you everything I've got. And then as a buyer, you're going to give me the opportunity to do everything I can to get that perfect place for you at the best price possible. Again, modify what you're saying based on who you're talking to. The key in this is to come with an understanding of what's going on. So what I want to do is I'm going to give you basically 3 things you can do as an agent right now to prepare yourself to be in the best position possible, not if, but when these changes are enacted, whatever they look like, so that you're the person who is that professional agent that's ready to go to work as soon as possible and is ahead of everybody else where they can't ever catch up with you again. Number one is to become the educated agent. Understand what is going on in your marketplace. And it's not just on this NAR settlement. Of course, you need to understand this. You need to get a grasp of this. There's plenty of information out there, and there will be more as we get closer to the proposal. Make sure that you're surrounding yourself with a group of people that's going to give you the best information possible. As you can see here, for our agents, we've already had multiple meetings with our agents to discuss what's proposed and what could possibly come. We're having every couple of weeks, we're having open discussions about what it is and the things that we know now so that we can prepare ourselves for that. We went in and we prepared a buyer's guide. We basically wanted to lay out exactly what it is that we do so that we can communicate it to those potential buyers in the future. Become the educated agent, understanding this, understanding your marketplace, understanding how to negotiate. When you become that person that people see as the resource in your local market, That's going to position you to be that agent of choice, not if, but when they decide to buy or sell real estate. The second thing to do is to prepare yourself now and have a on lock buyer representation presentation. The same way, if I were to ask most people, hey, I'm going to get you an opportunity, you're going to go into a listing presentation, you've already got your folder done, you've already got the marketing you're going to talk about, you know how that's going to flow because you've got that on lock. Now is the time for you to develop the same thing on the buyer side. Communicate what you're doing. I mentioned a little bit earlier that we are doing a buyer's guide that breaks down exactly what we do and how we do it in a way that we should be the agent they choose to help them find that ideal place. Be able to communicate. This could be a simple sheet that tells you exactly all the things that you do as a buyer's agent. What is it that you do different? Set yourself apart. Are you going to do video walkthroughs before they actually see property? That's an added value. Are you going to be someone who has gotten a certification as a certified buyer representative, for instance? Are you going to be someone that has studied how to negotiate and that you've taken classes on that and you've gotten a certification on that? Are you going to be someone who is known as the resource in your local market? Whatever it is that you do, be able to communicate in a clear, concise way exactly what it is that you do different from all the other agents and why it makes complete sense for them to join with you so that you can represent them on the buying of their next home. The first two things I talked about was getting that buyer representation and that presentation on lock. But let me say this, it has always been that this business is driven by listing agents. One of the ways that you can really refocus your business, and this is that pivot point where if you've been focused on buyers, now is the time to educate yourself and become a person and an agent that is focused on building a business based on listings. We've always heard it. The person who controls the listings controls the markets. That has never been more true than it is today. So what is it that you're doing to educate yourself on becoming a better geographical farmer? Maybe you've never done that before. Maybe now's the time. What is it that you're doing to understand how to do unsolicited video CMAs at a higher level? What is it that you're doing to understand on how to have an open house or to do a community event in a neighborhood that draws sellers to you? How do you produce content that is going to drive those sellers to choose you as the agent of choice when they get ready to list their homes? Again, what can we do right now? We want to make sure that we become the educated agent, and that's on both sides of the transaction. Number two, get yourself a buyer representation presentation that is on lock. And number three, look at and begin to focus on growing your business where a larger percentage of your business is driven by listings, and you'll absolutely win in this environment. I hope this has been helpful. More to come in the future, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.